We're now on to stage 13, but we're actually going to do 13, 14 and 15 in one single video because they're all fairly simple stages and we've made all of the parts that we need already. If we look at 13 first, this little symbol on the instructions means we have to spin the model over. So let's rotate our SolidWorks model so we're looking from the underneath like this. We now need to add one more gear and one more large bush. First, let's find the large bush. There's one in the middle there. Let's hold down Control and left click and drag from that bush and then release, and that should insert a new bush part. Then let's find a gear and do the same thing. So hold down Control, left click and drag from the part and then release to add that new part. We can then make those in place. I'm going to start with the large bush. So I'm going to rotate it to about the correct orientation by holding down the right mouse button and dragging the part around. And the cuts should be facing downwards. Again, it doesn't really matter too much if they're not, but that's just what the instructions say. Then let's select a circular face on the bush and also on the axle and make those concentric. We do want to lock the rotation, but if you're a bit misaligned like this, you might have to zoom in and select a flat face on both the bush and the axle and make those parallel. And then let's just choose this top face of the bush and then the bottom face of the beam and make those coincident so that they're touching. Then let's do the same for the gear. So rotate it around, choose a circular face inside the gear and also a circular face on the axle and make those concentric. Then choose a flat face on the axle and a corresponding flat face inside the gear and make those parallel. And then let's just make the bush and the gear coincident. So it should be something like this. And this gear is just on the bottom to give you something to grab onto so you can actually rotate the blades with your hand. That's stage 13 complete. Now let's look at the instructions for the next stage, number 14. For this one, it says we want to spin around again. So we're going to rotate the model again back to that original view from the top. And if we look at the picture, what we're going to do is add on another of those white corner beams, and then we're going to add on 2 small bushes. But we've already added them on one side, so perhaps we can just mirror them to the second side. First, let's select the mirror feature. So go to Assembly, click on the drop down underneath Linear Component Pattern and choose Mirror Components. For the mirror plane, we want the plane that goes down the middle of the assembly. So if you expand this second feature tree here, we want this one, which is the right plane. And then for the components to mirror, we want to zoom in, we want to select these 2 small bushes, and we also want to select this white corner beam. But if we click on that white beam, you'll find that we actually insert the entire stage, all of stage 1. And we only actually want to mirror one single part. So the problem is because that part is within a subassembly, we can't just mirror that specific part. Instead, what we'll do is just close the mirror, and then we'll just insert a new white part, not as a mirror, just as another part. And then we can mirror over the bushes after that. To add that new white corner piece, let's hold down Control and left click and drag from the existing one and then release, and that will insert a new part. We can then make this in place properly using the existing holes. So let's select inside this first hole on the beam, and then let's also select a circular face on that front axle. We will line those up concentrically and we'll lock the rotation so that part can't rotate. That should put us in the correct place, and then we just need to set the left-right position. And we actually want the outside face of that green pin to be lined up with the outside face of that white beam. So let's move the beam in a little bit, and then let's choose these 2 faces and make those coincident. So we've now added that second side of the body there. Now we can use the mirror to add those 2 small bushes. We can do this because these are just individual parts within the main assembly. They're not sub-assemblies. So you can mirror sub-assemblies, but you can't mirror specific parts from sub-assemblies. To mirror these small bushes, let's select the plane that goes down the middle, the right plane, hold down Control, and let's also select those 2 small bushes. Then go to Linear Component Pattern and choose Mirror Components. Here we've got the right plane, we've got the 2 small bushes. Let's click Next. That preview looks good, so let's press OK. So now we've added those 2 small bushes and we've completed stage 14. Moving on to stage 15, this is pretty similar. We just need to add 2 new parts from one side to the second side. These are the 4 beam with extension, which is an individual part, and also the right angle beam with curve, which is also a part. So we can mirror both of these over. And instead of creating a new mirror, we can just add these to that existing mirror that we made in the last stage. To do this, go down to the bottom of the parts tree and click on the mirror feature and press Edit Feature. Then make sure you're in this components to mirror box, and we can just choose the extra parts that we want to mirror. Let's choose this first one, the right angle beam with curve, and then also choose that one at the back. That's the 4 beam with extension. We should now have 4 items in this components to mirror. 2 small bushes, the right angle beam with curve, and the 4 beam with extension. Then you can press next, and the preview should look something like this. If you find that one of your parts looks a bit back to front, like it's the wrong way round, what you can do is find the part here on the left, and then choose the correct orientation from these options underneath. Now, if you're on an older version of SolidWorks, your interface might be slightly different here, but there should be different options for you to choose the orientation of the part. There should be 3 orientations that look completely wrong, like the part is back to front, and then there should be one of them where the part is the correct way round. So just choose the correct option and then press OK, and those parts are mirrored. And we're really building up the shape of the chopper now. If you find that when you have made the mirror, one of your parts is in the wrong orientation, you can just go down to the bottom of the parts tree and edit the mirror feature and then change the orientation within that mirror feature. You can then save your assembly there, and in the next video we'll go on to stage 16.